Well, if you're 50 or older, your first hearing test is free at Sound Impressions, but you may not know what to do to prepare. So today we are asking Cassandra Grabowski exactly that. Cassandra, where do we start when it comes to preparing for our appointment?
Okay, first you have to phone in and get the appointment.
Right, yes, item one.
That's item one. You don't need a doctor's referral, so you can call straight to the clinic. But you want to think a little bit about, when did you notice the hearing problem starting? Sometimes it's the spouse that notices it first,
right.
And not actually the person with the hearing issue. But it's always good to kind of reflect back. Was I in a lot of noise? Did something happen? Were you hunting? Was it like an acoustic incident? Or just like, I don't even know, because...
Yeah. I don't even think there was a problem, right. But as you say, my spouse did.
Yes,
okay.
And so when you come in, we have a good conversation before you actually get into the sound booth for the test, because sometimes that flushes out the actual issue. Right. And so, we're kind of like a little investigator.
Okay.
And, all the information you can come with is very important, and no question is a silly question.
Perfect. Good. Well, then I'm free to ask a question. If we're doing that and the hearing test, this probably will take a little bit of time. How much time should we budget for?
Usually 1 to 1.5 hours.
Okay.
And so you'll come in, fill in a pretty detailed intake history, and then we'll chat, get into the testing, and then the counseling part afterwards, where that's where really the nitty-gritty happens. It's like, this is where you're at. Are you a hearing aid candidate? We'll let you know about that. And then options.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. And now you mentioned a whole host of information dealing with occupational stuff, maybe stuff that maybe you weren't thinking about. So it's a good time once you've booked your appointment to go through that Rolodex in your mind so that at least you've got things. What other information should they bring with them?
So medical history, any medications that you might be taking, because sometimes you don't even realize that maybe some of the meds are interacting and causing issues, whether it's hearing issues or balance issues, which we also deal with. But just more importantly, day to day, what's happening? How is it making you feel? Do you have any reservations about, if you are a hearing aid candidate, getting them? So we go through a lot.
Perfect. And then maybe most importantly is we shouldn't come alone.
No, you know what? It is so important to bring either a family member or a friend, just as like a support. Usually what we do is, like, I'll bring in the person who's having the hearing test, but then the person that they've brought along comes in after the fact so that they hear the test results, they hear also the recommendations, because it's an investment to get hearing aids, and to be committed to going through the trial period with hearing aids.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And yeah, I mean, it's an hour and a half is a lot of information in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
4 ears are better than 2.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, I always say bring your co-pilot, because you might need to kind of talk about that after you leave.
Perfect. Well, there you go. We've solved that, and you could take your 10 fingers and you could type them in to your web browser to find Cassandra and the team at soundimpressions.ca.